Hello, hello. Welcome to Connection with Spirit. I'm Deborah Epstein and I'm with
Larissa Russell. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today. Those of you who are on the live with us right now. I don't have it up anywhere, so I have no idea. It's just a
There's a few people on here. Yep. I see them.
Welcome. Say hello if you want. Join the conversation. Yeah, we're going to be talking about organized religion, spirituality, concepts of energy, dimensions, the nature of reality, small topics, really, right? And their belief systems around that. And we were actually just kind of having a conversation before we hopped on about kind of pain and belief around pain and how we use our pain and all that kind of stuff. And how do we engage with it and kind of, work with it instead of like trying to shut it up, make it go away. I'll share, last week we didn't get to meet because I came down with shingles. And then a friend of mine came down with shingles too that I'm working with. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. So like there's it, what we kind of came away with that. And this kind of goes into our, the idea of energy and shared fields and how we are connected across the miles. And in actuality, right, there really is no such thing as distance, but we have that perception of it, right? That would be a huge collective belief system. And, it's like how much of our, upbringing in a religious system that kind of has a limitation to it, how does that affect how we act as free beings, free creators in the world? So that's kind of the gist of where we're going today.
Shannon just said that she had shingles. And
right now?
Yeah. Well, no, she's had it. It's painful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I had shingles. It's painful.
Okay. Thank you for putting that up there. Yeah.
Oh, and says, get lidocaine patches. It helped me immediately.
Yeah, I didn't do that because of what I read about lidocaine patches in the first things. And it's not that I'm hardcore. I didn't really have it that bad. I mean, yes, I started out with muscle aches and pains, and I thought there was something going on with my shoulder because where I got it was kind of like right around my chest and shoulder blade. But what I did was I put my money where my mouth is. I practiced what I preach, and I used, I got into it. I got into the pain. I let the pain speak. I let the virus speak, and I really moved through it fast. Yes, there was some times of pain, but it wasn't excruciating. It wasn't excruciating. I would have to say that I had a really mild case, and I don't know if that's because it's just how it moved through me, or if it's because I allowed the energy of it to speak through me. And I rested too. Like I did okay with like, you know what, I'm getting tired. I'm getting exhausted. That was more of when it was at the height of it, was more of a exhaustion for me. So I would just let myself take a nap. I would let my body rest and do what it needs to do. And I really, Advil knocked the pain down. So I didn't need to shut the pain voice down. But, and I don't mean to say that from a place of like, I'm better than everybody else, that I can handle that. No, I wanted to handle it this way for myself. I wanted to see what would happen if. And so that's me being a therapist. And then I always use my body as a laboratory. So it's not that I love suffering. It's just like, oh, this is interesting. Let me take a look at it this way. I even had a neighbor that's like, you need to get antivirals and there's, but those only work like if you do in the first like 72 hours that you need to get to the doctor right away to get those. And so I'm a warrior. I don't know if I'd say warrior, but yeah, I guess it can get pretty bad. But I feel like this is 2 weeks yesterday and they're all but gone. So I feel like, I don't have anything to measure it against, but other than I'm just anecdotal evidence that like, okay, like maybe because I believe moving the energy on, what my body is trying to express and I help it express it, it doesn't have to get so loud. is my belief system, and it shows up as working for me. And I kind of like to hold this like truth thing, like this is the absolute truth of how it works, very lightly, because we are starting to learn, I think, or understand just how unique and individual we are and how we create our lives. Yes, we're all in the same place, and yes, we're experiencing a lot of the same things as a collective, but then within that, we are little individual worlds, individual cultures with all kinds of things happening. And, what's happening for me, is going to express differently in Larissa and you, and, all of that. And I think it's honoring the differences that we have in expression.
And the funny thing, or not so funny anymore, because it happens every single time, but I had a similar experience, but I decided to check out instead and suffer, because that's what I do. And then I go, oh, right. And then I turn towards it. Oh, that would have been so much easier. That would have been an easy route.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels like the harder route when your body is so used to going into protection mode, right? When you've had a traumatizing life and your body is so used to going into protection mode, it feels easier to check out and just suffer. And I was so sick last week, and then got even worse this weekend. And it wasn't until yesterday when I realized what was happening, and all of a sudden I'm perfectly fine. And I know this about myself. I know that I make myself sick over, things that I'm exploring and working with. And when I turn towards it, it gets so much easier. You would think. You'd think I'd catch it quicker, though, right? You'd think by now I would catch it quicker. And sometimes I do.
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes I do.
Yeah, being generous with yourself too, because it's in what you said about, you kind of go unconscious, right? And it's being able, so how do you catch yourself being unconscious when you're unconscious?
Ooh,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
That
then
lets me off the hook, doesn't it?
yeah, it's okay to be off the hook. Like how can you heal when you're on the hook, right? We all have a taskmaster. I think that's another piece that I've been working with too, is the taskmaster. I don't know if we're going to get to religion and beliefs, spiritual beliefs, because we're not kind of there, but maybe it'll weave its way in. But yeah, I mean, I have a really hard taskmaster, and I am really learning to go with the flow of my creativity without doing the self beat up that I didn't do enough today. And that is like that comes from a lack mentality, right? That anything to do with I'm not enough, I didn't do enough, I didn't produce enough, because there's going to be like that kind of gets in there because we earn our keep, right? And how much money did your things you did today earn you money, right? And when you're working as a you're not making money every single day, but the things you do translate into dollars later on, it's you're not getting paid directly. So that's a whole mindset shift, right? And it's not like if I don't work, I don't eat, and I better get on that treadmill and da 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 da. It's like I'm really trying to show up for myself in the work that I do from a place of I just can't wait to get here. Not like if I don't show up, I'm not going to eat, and then who knows what will happen, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, that too. Yeah. It's so true. And as someone who was very conditioned to work hard, push through, all of those things that we're taught as a culture times 10 in my family. So go, go, go. And I took that to the next level. Like if I wasn't going Mach 2, doing all the things until I crashed hard, that was the only time I was allowed a break, really, as if you completely fell apart, but limited break, and so retraining doesn't feel like the right word, but
let's call it recalibration.
Recalibrating. Yes. Recalibrating my body to behave in a different way. And often when it's really activating, like it was a week or so ago, yeah, it still automatically goes into shut down, and like we'll just pretend this isn't happening. And then,
Mm,
whereas when it's less so, I might catch on quicker. I don't go into that immediate body conditioning that we have. And
mhm.
I keep working on it. I keep working on it.
Yeah, and it's so funny because we're talking about this too, because I'm like, gosh, I can remember this being a whole hell of a lot easier years ago. And, when I first, and I'm talking like a good 20, 25 years ago, when I started doing core belief work, it was like literally like magic. I'd go to my therapist. It was called theta healing, and you work with core beliefs. And to try to describe it to somebody from that place, because I was really new into this whole energy thing. So it might even have been 30 years ago, but now I'm like, it's so hard when you're getting older, because you're kind of in a little bit of like, how could I be like this far down the road? But I
Mhm.
don't feel like it. Anyway, it would be like talk, 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 talk. She'd hear where the belief were. And with me, we'd use my artwork a lot. And so I would kind of have like all of these evidentiary kind of images around like I don't know what this belief is, but this is what's coming up in my artwork. And then we'd talk about it. And then she'd sense a belief. And then we'd talk about the belief through like felt sense kind of words. And she'd be connected to my body, and then she would feel like there's an opening here, and then we kind of zoom into the opening, and then we'd kind of do this energetic sort of work. And that's kind of hard to explain, but it's like you kind of go up into the cloud, bring the light down in, and then it would be, I can, it would be like this, sometimes instantaneous. I could feel a shift in my body. And then sometimes it would be like she'd say, no arguments, don't, take it easy, rest when you need to, drink water, all that kind of stuff. Be gentle for the next 24 to 72 hours. And let me tell you, like sometimes at 72 hours, I would feel something like weird. And then I'd look at the clock and I go, oh, damn, if that wasn't like close to 72 hours since my session. And I'm like wondering, like, is that a shift? And then I'd get into different conversations with different people, and I noticed like it'd be like, who just talked out of my body? Who just said that thing? And it just felt like that was a lot more magical. Now it feels like a lot more diligence, a lot more work. And I don't really know the why on that. Do you have any like thoughts about that?
Just as you were saying that, what made me think was like, as intuitive beings, as people exploring, those, I don't want to say that they're surface levels, because they're not, but they're not as attached. Maybe that's a better way. Those ones that are not as attached, that are causing us a lot of grief in our day-to-day life, but they're not really hardcore attached.
Mhm.
And then as we remove more and more of those, we get to oh, this one's like really hanging on for dear life. This one is like wrapped around, and it's got some roots over here, and it's like it doesn't want to go anywhere. And
Mm,
so we start to peel away pieces of it, right?
yeah.
And start to untangle it, and undo this one, and okay, well, we'll just chop that one off, and all of those things to start to move through it. And I think, well, that's been my experience anyways, that because I had the same thing when I was younger and I started to do energy work. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, things just shifted, and I could feel it. And I do still feel it, but not at the same calibration or same vibration. It's
Mhm.
different now. And so it's like, yeah, not quite the ease. It's not
Mhm.
quite the same ease that it
Yeah.
was.
I'm
And now
wondering.
it's getting to the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah, I'm, because everything's a spiral. So you don't ever get rid of the pattern. It just it changes form, because we are who we are, there's those things, but it's also not locked in. It's not locked in steel. I mean, if you would have met me back in those days, you wouldn't even know me. because I was such a very, very different person. And I actually feel like I've lived probably about 3 different lifetimes in one, but yet I'm in the same body, with the same name and, same color eyes and all that kind of stuff. But, my outlook of the world is very different. And, it's been an evolutionary process, but I feel like there's still some things, let's see if I can be more specific, you know, some energy patterns that I think we're all kind of experiencing, that maybe it's more of a collective belief system that I can't do it on my own. I can't move this belief on my own. It's something that maybe we have to do as a collective.
Yes, yes. Shannon just said she'd like to ask a question.
Absolutely.
So I was just like, yes, please ask your question.
Yeah.
Just pop it into the chat. And I got distracted. I apologize, because I was trying to reply to that and tried to listen to you. And so didn't do such a great job at either one.
Awesome. Doing awesome. I wouldn't be able to do that. There's a delay too. So yeah. Okay.
My heart breaks for the way ICE is treating folks and putting them in detention camps. I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
Is there a question that's coming with that, Shannon, or just like a sense that you have? I just want to be clear, not that there's a right or wrong with that. Because I have to say, yes, absolutely. As a non-American, it's a little easier for me to step back and go, oh, batshit crazy. Here's the question. I love this. How do I deal with this?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think what we can do is not so much to deal with it, but I think what we do is we send love out, because that's what's breaking in you. It's your heart breaking. Think about it, not breaking into pieces, but breaking open, and feeling your compassion, like your compassion for these people who are, I would say, taking one for the team in our a global transformation. Like, the way I look at things, we want to get big, right? We want to look at the big picture of transformation. It's a big earth out there. And then the earth is also in a cosmos, right? So there's a lot of beings. So, if you think about tree beings and, stars as beings, star beings, right? We're all going through a transitional phase. The earth herself is going through a transitional phase. And when you get big and you get into the compassion of your heart, let yourself feel it, let yourself cry, let yourself do what you need to do. And then send that love out. Imagine those people, and we can do this right now. If you just close your eyes, and I kind of got my eyes back here, kind of rolled up a little bit. But if you imagine those detention centers and all those people who are being rounded up and the fear that's there, right? Just see that as an image. And now with yourself, come back to your heart. And now imagine you have a bubble above your head. Go to that bubble, allow that light to come down and shroud you and fill you. And then see that happening in that situation. There's a bubble above everybody, and you're just allowing that light to come down and cover them. And that energy is there for them to use. And we have to let go of the outcome, right? We don't know what that's going to do. Energy is so powerful. And so when we talk about empathy, there's empathy where, I sit here and I feel it with you, but I'm not really doing anything for you. I'm just kind of I'm feeling all the feelings and I'm getting sucked into the vortex of pain. Or I can feel that pain and go, oh, that breaks my heart wide open, and it allows my compassion to come through. And now now knowing that it's like putting your mask on, right? Like in the airplane, right? You fill yourself with light and you connect and ground into the earth. And then you imagine them in that space, that light is just available. Ask for grace to come and fill them all up. Ask for grace for the people who are capturing them, that not so much that they, whatever, we have to let go of the outcome or our own personal, like how we think it needs to be. And you never know what can happen when you're sending energy. And it's making me think of a time when I was in Philadelphia. I was just gotten done with the class. I don't know if I shared this story before, but I was in the middle of an myofascial release class. It was really intense. I had moved a lot of energy, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so open. I'm walking around the streets of Philadelphia with a friend of mine. And as we're walking along, I just start hearing this woman screaming. And up ahead at a McDonald's, this woman's being attacked. Someone's trying to grab her bag. This guy's trying to grab her bag, and people are just walking by like nothing. And I was like so incensed, and my focus went right to her. And I was like trying to get to her. My friend's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I need to get there. And my energy was so focused on helping her that the weirdest thing happened. By the time we got to the light, I had to cross the street to get to her, and I was waiting for the light. The guy who was trying to take her purse got all like discombobulated, and he ended up taking off. And then she was kind of going like, what the hell just happened? And I was like, oh my God, like, so I'm like, wow. So that was kind of my first lesson and it didn't consider that I had anything to do with that till way later when I started learning about like how we can affect things with the intensity of our intention. But we do have to let go of the outcome, and that's huge for us because we want it the way we want it. We want it all in a beautiful, like everyone gets along and everybody's nice to each other. And we're not in that time right now. And I get chills, full body chills, because I do feel charged up about it. And at the same time, like super intensely angry that how can you treat other people this way? How can you do that? I think we're all feeling that. And Shannon, thank you so much for bringing that question up, because I think that kind of ties into what I've been wondering about is in our collective energy field, is that why it's so hard to move the energies that we're feeling? Maybe they're not ours. Maybe we're feeling the collective, and me trying to sit there and move that energy, like to make my space clearer is, yeah, it's part of it. But me thinking that I can clear it for everybody is maybe not my job.
Yes. Yeah. That's absolutely true. The energy that we put into things. And it's so easy to get caught up in the fear, the anger, all of that. But then as a collective energy, that's what we have: more fear, more anger, right? And so to stop and recognize the shifts that are happening. This is for the good. It feels awful, but it is for the good. And it is turning in the right direction because people are starting to stand up. People are starting to speak up. People are starting to do things differently. That if we can just stay with that and, like you said, pour love to the people being detained, the people being detaining, you could say, oh, it's their job and, they can't afford to lose their job. There's a lot of jobs I wouldn't do, but it's very true with things. And you don't want to piss your president off because, man, he will destroy you. Yeah. So, I get it.
Even send that energy to work with our leaders, the president, it's not like, it's so easy. Like you have to really remember that, like, our intentions, whether they're good or evil, is all just energy. Not to minimize it, but it's all energy. We put the meaning on it. We put the, not saying that there's not good and there's not evil, but we do live in a world that contains that. But when you understand that good and evil coexist together, right? There's this third sort of way of being, which is neutral. So if you can get yourself into neutral and just bless it all, right? And really start dosing. Like imagine like if you're like going to do something evil and you just start dosing that person with light, you don't really know what's going to happen, but they're going to feel it. Yes. And that energy goes out. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And so the more we can send that more positive energy out, that, that love energy out to these, painful situations, we have not to the same degree, but we have a government in our province. So like you have states, we have provinces, and our province is got a very, you know, wannabe Trump regime in place right now. And it's difficult because they're just trying to destroy our healthcare system, which we have, you know, and we're grateful for. They're just trying to destroy our education system and so many other things because there's more money in privatization. But, you know, great for the rich. However, like we're seeing in the States, not so great for everyone else.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, it's hard when you get caught up in the energy of, oh my God, my life is at risk, or my, you know, my safety is at risk. My, you know,
those are
big,
big initiations because it's a mindset shift too. It's like we are going to walk through the fire. We're here for that, right? We are strong souls that signed up to be here at this time. If you're here, you did. You know, it's not a mistake. And you probably like, you can have this conversation with your soul and go, okay, what were you thinking? Right. You know, it's not even so much because we always think from our ego place or personality. I like to say personality or personality place of like, well, I would never have chosen that. But if I really knew what was going to happen, and that there is an air of we don't know what's going to happen because all of us are down here doing our thing. And some of us are following our soul path and some of us are going rogue and doing whatever we're doing. Right. But it's really learning to connect in with your soul and trusting the process of soul. And I know you guys know I listen to Carolyn Mace a lot, and she just did a live stream from Fatima. She went to Portugal and she went on a tour and stuff, and she did a class there. She said something really interesting that I thought was kind of shareable, which is, you know, there's people who they're here to do a job, right? They're being called forward to stand, to say no, to do these things, but not everybody's called to that. And it's really just do what your job is. Do what your job is and let go of the outcome. You know, let go of like, it's not enough, let go of, you know, all of that, you know, or that it's even super important that you have to do it. Those are all just the stories we put on that stuff. But know that you're here doing a job and that you matter, right? Not everybody can be the blossom on the tree. Some of us have to be leaves. Some of us are fruit. Some of us are the little bug crawling up the tree. Some of us are the bark, but we all make up the tree, right? And so it's sending energetic support. Like if you can't do financial, energy is like way more powerful than anything matter. We just have a mindset that matters more powerful because that's where most of our focus is we focus more on matter. We focus more on the way things used to be done, and things are shifting into a place that we don't know. And this be very scary.
All those little protection modes are like going off.
Our nervous systems are freaking out, right? That's, you know, how to become fearless. We just don't let the fear run us, right? I always feel my fear. Fear is a voice that is never going away. We have nervous systems that are programmed for fight, flight, and freeze, right? And when in a trauma situation, we want that. It's just like I was having this conversation with my friend Claire about pain. It's like people want to come in and, you know, to see me and they go, I want to be pain-free. Well, if you stub your toe, you want to know you stub your toe.
Yeah. There are people who are pain-free and it's a problem because they can seriously hurt themselves.
It's a condition, right? That you don't want. Yeah. Thank you for that. I often judge myself for I'm not doing enough. I can do more life others are doing. Yeah. That might not be your job. Face the fear, feel it and let it move. Yeah. And it's just don't make your choices from fear. That's all.
Yeah.
I feel fear all the time. It gets intense and then it goes away. But it's like the more I feed it, the more I spend time, like there is a story that will come up around it. Right. I mean, we all have our go-to stories. For me, it's like right around lack, but that's how I grew up, right? The bottom's going to fall out of everything, right? Bottom's going to fall out of everything. It's not even the sky is falling. Bottom's going to fall out. And I'm going, then where will I be, right? So we are picking up collective fear. If you're an empath, and I think everyone here is, I think we're all empaths to certain degrees, but a lot of us don't know how to manage it because it's not been taught, right? And a lot of us grew up in situations where being the empath, to me, is almost like kind of being the sponge, taking on all of the energies that no one else knows how to process. And then you're sitting there as a little kid trying to figure it out, right? So many people afraid right now. So many people in the States afraid to even come up here. Show them love if they come. That's huge, I think. Absolutely. Like, be the ambassador. Think about that. Like, if you started treating everybody as you,
people? As humans?
As humans, like, if I was thinking about this last night too, it's really funny. Like, you just start looking at everyone that you see out in the world outside of you as you, like they're just a mirror of you, And do I hate me that much that I'm going to, like, if someone does something stupid, I'm going to go like, oh, whatever, maybe I do that to myself, and then maybe I want to clean that up, because we want to treat ourselves with the same love and respect that we want to see out in the world. Right. But that's the stuff that starts with us. Right. But I can't say don't, but when you don't let it be the opposite or the reverse sort of thing, I see it out there. It scares me. Now I bring the fear in here. Now I'm going to live in fear because there's nothing I can do to change it. That's the old paradigm that we were taught we were powerless. It's, let me empower you. Let me empower you to stand. I saw a picture one of my friends posted on Instagram, and it was like all of our world leaders playing Monopoly, and there was all of these people underneath the board, like the board was on our backs, like it was like representative of us, the common folk, and it just said, all you need to do is stand. Because if all those people that are holding up the Monopoly board on their backs just stood up, well, they can't play the game anymore. But what is your definition of stand? What is my definition of stand? A stand is a stand. It's the energy of a stand. Does that mean I have to go pick it? If that's how it wants to express, I'll go do that. Right.
Yeah. And for everyone, it's going to be different, right? It could be speaking out. It could be marching in a protest. It could be writing letters to your government. It could be just being nice to your neighbor. It could be, whatever it is for you, the more that we can, move away from being controlled by the fear. Our world is very much fear-based, right? We see it in religion. We see it in our media, in insurance, in like all the things that in our day-to-day life are fear-based because we're easier to control if we're afraid. And so, of course, it's powerful to keep us afraid. And then our brains automatically go to be afraid, right? Because that's also its job. Its job is to keep us safe. And then all these things are happening and we're super scared. And so if we can just go, okay, yeah, that's kind of scary. However, I can still do this. I can do this. I don't have to take that in. I'm not going to, there are people who are going to die for the cause, right? There are things that are going to happen. And there may be a reason for that. Most likely there is a reason for that. You may not know the reason. Your neighbor may not know the reason. However, the journey is what it is based on the energy shifts that are happening. And so we see these horrible things and we know that change is happening. It wouldn't be like this if change wasn't happening.
Right. Exactly. And this is, I say this is a result of all of the spiritual work and vibrational shifts that the troops have been doing. You did so much good energy. Yeah, that's awesome because it's such a shift, right? We're coming from love and, the energy is good, so it's like, yes, and yes, see the shit going on out in there. Pardon my French, even though that wasn't French.
Did that saying come from? But
French
yes.
speaks. But like, yeah, we see all this negative, evil stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Look for the good things that are going on too. It's so
Yeah.
much. I mean, if that's all we're being shown, that's what they want us to see so that we can be in control. What else is out there? Like there's all, if you want programming, that's really good. Gaia TV, there's, people like Lee Harris that put out energy reports. There's Carolyn Mace, there's
Oh, so
Bashar.
much stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many channelers out there right now that are doing things. There's publications like Substack. Find people that you feel resonant with, that are speaking something different. The more we start, then this is interesting too, right? The more we start focusing our attention on the people that are saying the things that are transformative, that speaking the good news. That's what I'm trying to think of her name. I loved her when she was alive, but she's a conscious leadership woman. Barbara Marx Hubbard.
Because I was like, I recognized the phrase, and I was like, who was it?
Yeah, she had this vision that, like, instead of having news that's depressing and all the bad things, that you just have, like, what's the good news?
Mm-hmm.
You talk about the good news that's going on, because that exists as well. And maybe we have to dig a little bit more for it. But guess what? Like the way the algorithms work, the more of us that start focusing on the good stuff, the more you're going to see that. And isn't that so interesting? Because that's energy.
I was going to say that's energy, that's technology, that's energy.
Yeah.
Both, right? The more we focus on it, the more we're going to find. That's how we work.
Yeah.
What we focus on is what is right there in our attention. And so the more we focus on the things that aren't. And that's not to say bury your head in the sand, pretend nothing's happening, and it'll all go away. Learned as a youngster that doesn't happen, gets you in more trouble. However, what it means is if you can turn your attention towards the positives that are happening, maybe you also, maybe you recognize that there's protests happening and you're going to be a part of that. Maybe you recognize that, some people just don't know. I had that situation this week. Had to breathe, had a few conversations with friends. So pronouns is a thing that, as part of the LGBTQ plus alphabet soup community that I'm a part of, are important. And other people are starting to recognize that pronouns are important. And so always on my forms, I ask, what are your pronouns? And I give options. And then I also leave a space for other. One of the responses I got was, none. I don't use pronouns. Immediately got my shackles up. And then I was like, okay, nope, this is a good teaching moment. Because everybody uses pronouns. How can you not use a pronoun? Right? Like, it's not like it's a claimed thing and it's something special. And, how do you identify yourself without your name? How do you, anyways, everybody uses pronouns. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
And so as a teaching moment, I was like, I saw that you said this, and I'm just a little bit confused because, pronouns are this. And I put the description in and said, I don't know how I would, introduce you if I don't know what your pronouns are, right? Like I'm going to use your name in every sentence. It's a bit much, right? In a bio. Mm-hmm. And she had never looked at it that way. She just had this, pronouns aren't needed. And it was like, okay, grammar 101 people, but it's become a thing, right? It's become this thing. Mm-hmm. And so people just like take a stand on something without knowing anything about it, or they hear somebody say something without doing any investigation of their own. Mm-hmm. We see that often with all the causes that are happening, or, all the fake news that's out there being perpetuated by people who don't have a clue because they're not doing their own research. They're not doing their own, like, oh, what does this actually mean? And it could be something, like stirs up things, or it could be something as simple as, my neighbor's dog keeps barking, I'm going to take it out. I've heard neighbors say things like that. And it's like, but why is the dog barking? Maybe we should ask that question. Does it need somebody during the day? Could we be dog sitting? Could we, those sort of things that we can start to be curious about what's actually happening, what's going on. And it can be big things or little things, but just turning our energy towards how can we be of service, but how can we all work together? And do we need to be offended by every little thing? Something I'm still going to be offended by. It doesn't mean I need to make a big scene about it. It means I need to explore what that means for me. Right? Like, why did I get my back up? Why was I upset about that? Well, here in our province, the LGBTQ plus community is being harassed horribly by our government, and there's a lot of things happening, and it's quite dangerous, and there's protests, but angry mob protests, like not positive protests going on. And so, my back got up. Okay, but so what can I do about that? Right? I can do some, teaching moments. I can spread positive information. I can explain things to people in different ways. And so those are the types of things. It doesn't mean bury our head in the sand. It means, where are we shifting so that we can help shift what's happening in the world?
Yeah.
To me, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all learning this, right? It's you pretending it doesn't exist and, then it'll go away. It doesn't work, right? Because we do, as women, we've done that for a long time, like with our bodies and like, oh yeah, I feel this little bump or whatever, but I just won't focus on it because where my attention goes, my energy goes, I won't focus on it and it'll just magically disappear. But it's like, no, you have to focus on it. You have to accept it as a thing that's your body is expressing. It's growing something. What is it? Let's get curious, right? That's exactly what I hear you saying. It's just, I'm using the body as a metaphor and you're talking about the greater world. The principle's still the same. It's like, be curious about why is this here? Why is this coming up right now? What am I to do in this? What part of this is mine? How do I want to express in this? How do I want to be a part of this? Is it better to keep a distance? And that's the thing about when we kind of going back to fear. If you're making your choices based on fear, that's the old paradigm. It's feel the fear and what else is there, right? Where, you have within you courage as well. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. The courage is the overcoming of that. It's doing it anyway. It's like, I am, here standing with my knees shaking, but I'm standing, right? Yeah.
And the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, I think probably an 80s, late 70s, early 80s book that we all read at the time. And that title keeps coming back to me, but it's exactly true, right?
Yeah.
We don't let fear derail us.
Yeah.
We can feel that fear, but then what are we going to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Because when we let fear derail us, then it derails everything.
Yeah. And then Roosevelt, the only thing to fear is fear itself, right? Right. So don't be afraid of anything don't be afraid of your fear. And then my mentor, John Barnes, would always whisper to me, you're way bigger than your fear. And then I'd be like, you don't know how big my fear is, dude. But no, we are like, think about yourself. You're more than just this body, right? You're a soul that created this body. And, that's, I don't want to say that's new information, but I'm seeing it a lot more people talking about that, is that it's your soul isn't in your body. Your body is in your soul. Your soul created it. It brought into matter you as form, right? And so what else forms you? The culture we live in forms you. The family that you grew up in forms you, right? All of your life circumstances forms you, right? So you can either live from your form, or you can recognize you're bigger than your form and connect in with that higher part of yourself and start developing a relationship with that part. And that's the stuff we're avoiding, right? Why do we avoid this? I do it too. I do it too. Why do I avoid it? I know that when I'm doing it, when I make time for connection with my spirit or my essence first, it's not that my day always goes like amazingly well, but I'm grounded in my day. My choices are different. I choose from a different place. I also can get derailed too, I can easily get distracted. I can get derailed. But when I remember my connection, it kind of snaps me back in. And I feel like the more we practice, you don't have to meditate for hours. It's really just once you establish a connection with yourself where you're starting to get to know yourself, however it is for you, right? It's the minute you're going to feel when you're off. I'm off. Oh, let me snap back in. And the way I do it, I have little visuals for myself. I got that ball of light above my head. I got a ball of light below my head, and I just kind of, I snap myself into place. I picture, because my husband's blind, he has like his cane, and when he opens up his cane, he just like flips it out and it's standing, right? So it's kind of like, that's kind of how I imagine it for me. But it's not like, I think we have to kind of get out of the drama of like, Moses on the mountain kind of experience. It's like, the more you do it every day, the more it becomes an everyday thing. The world is a magical place, and we do want to be awe-inspired, with the things we see out around us. As much as we can, we want to be cultivating that awe. But at the same time, it doesn't have to have like all of this like drama around it. And I feel like that's just the personality not wanting to let go. I want to be in charge, right?
Yeah. And the things that have happened to us in our lives are so ingrained in our body, right? Yeah. And so recognizing, turning towards them can help make a difference in that. It's when we ignore it, which I've done most of my life. I tried really hard to ignore it. And I still fall into that, as we started this conversation with, but also I know now to turn towards it. And when I do, then it's like, okay, what's actually here, right? Like, what does this bring up? Why is it happening? Oh, okay. This is happening because I had this reaction, because of this trauma. Okay. So what am I going to do differently now? Okay. I recognize it. I can make a choice from here. Do I choose to move forward, or do I choose to like let this stay derailed with it, right? And that every day is part of it, right? To decide how I want to move forward. But you have to recognize, you have to be in awareness first. Zoe, yes, awe doesn't have drama around it. Think of a child. Oh, the beauty that is out there in every minute of every day. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just have to be aware of when we're making things bigger than they need to be, right? The connection with spirit. Like one day, just can you imagine a world? And I love doing this, right? Imagine a world where everyone's just in that connection with spirit. Like, how are we interacting with each other? What are we seeing out in the world? And that's why this is the Cosmic Dreaming Lodge, because it's daydream. It's like if we all started spending just a little bit of time imagining a world different than the one that we're living in, but it's the same. Yeah, we always have choices. Yeah,
we do. And so we can decide how we want to show up in this world.
Yeah.
And so always. And it's interesting that you as we're coming close to time, the comment you just made me think, oh yeah, that's the conversation we were going to have. And the duality or the polarity and, religion and spirituality, the spirituality that we have within. Spirituality is going in.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's an important part to remember in all of this. Go inward, seek guidance from inside,
not from someone outside of you. And I think like when we're like, be mindful when you're on social media platforms, when someone's saying this is how it should be, like investigate it for yourself. And yeah, you're so right. I'm kind of coming back to the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about that Kumari show and how this guy, like, if you guys haven't seen this documentary, it's from quite a while ago. But it's called Kumari, and this guy who's an investigative reporter, and he's Indian and American, or not Native American, but Indian from India. And he decides he's going to start like this cult thing and just see like what happens. But during the whole cult, he's gathering followers, but the whole time he's saying like, don't listen to me, don't follow me, da 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 da. He's like,
you are the guru. Listen to the guru within.
yeah, yeah. And it's like we want so badly to have someone give us the answers, to have someone tell us how to do it, how to be. And that's why we're just recreating a different version of shit every day, because we're not being connected to our authentic essence. And how does our essence want to express? Not, and I get it too, because there's fear in that. What will they say about me if I start acting what my essence is going to say? Well, first of all, I might not even know what my essence is going to want me to do, but it's scary because I don't know, right? So I'm going to pay attention to that. But it's easier if like I follow a spiritual teaching that tells me how to behave or how to act or how to be. And yes, there are foundational practices, like with the Pachacuti Mesa. It's a tradition that stretches back 5,000 or so years, right? It's a combination of two different lineages. So there is a method of operating, how you engage with it. So the rules of the playbook, basically, right? But then within that, once you've kind of mastered the rules of engagement, then the creation part is up to you. You're the one bringing who you are, your essence, and who you are as a creative spirit entity, engaging with this field. You're changing how the entire expression of the field, but you're still following the rules of the game and the way it's set up. So there's a teaching in that, and it's not something that I can say very succinctly to have you get it. It's something that you get to go and practice, and you get to let it unfold for you, and you get to have your own opinions about it, your own way of seeing it, and then we get to have a dialogue about it. And I get to go, wow, that's really cool that you had that experience. That's so cool. Mine was like this, not wrong, not right, just unique and diverse.
Yeah. Yeah. I put a link to Kumari that I found on YouTube.
Cool.
It's supposed to be on Prime, but it's not in Canada on Prime.
Okay.
So in the States, it might be on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
It is in a few different places, but that's the one that I watched it on. So, and it was very fascinating to watch it and see him actually telling people like, I'm not the guru, you're the guru, and them just like falling into, and just like you said, right? We want to be told. We want, like, it's scary to think for yourself.
Yeah.
And so, but when we do, amazing things can happen. And by the end, most of them were very grateful. We're very grateful and thanked him for it. But yeah, not everyone, but most of them.
So we're really, really upset. I haven't seen the movie in a while, or the documentary in a while, but that's what I remember. It was like they felt like they got punked, but really it was like a social experiment.
It totally was.
Yeah.
And all of that, because he had gone to all these gurus, because being from India, he was like, oh, that's where the gurus come from. And so he went to all these gurus and he's like, what's so special about them? Like, and he couldn't find anything special about them. And so he's like, well, I'm going to try this, and realize there isn't anything special about them. Right. It's all within us.
Right.
All
yeah.
within us.
It's interesting too, because it's also makes me think of, I think it's like Born on the 4th of July, where, Tom Cruise's character goes off to war and he's all about it because he's being a good little, not Republican, but he's being a good soldier, but American. He's being a good American. He's doing what he's supposed to do. You're supposed to follow your leaders, and the leaders say this, and we're going to war, and this is what we're going to do. But then he had to go through that whole experience to come out on the other side, and stop following what's right, what's not right. It's just because the person's a leader, and I think that's the grand design of this craziness that we're all finding ourselves in is, however it all happened, that story of how it happened and why it is the way it is, is beside the point. It's like, okay, it's here. What are we doing with it?
Mm-hmm.
Are we,
Yeah.
are we just going to go along and allow all this stuff to happen? Like the stuff that you hear that is really crazy, scary. And it's almost like new stuff every single day, or, it's like, take it in and now be in the resistance, right? Energy, be in the energy of it, be in the energy of higher vibration and transformation, knowing that, this will, it will come to some choice point that we all have to make. I don't know what it's going to be. It doesn't have to be scary though. It's a big lesson to learn. Leaders are human and we should never follow blindly. Take what is good and leave the rest. Follow what's in you. Yeah. It's so interesting too, because our system is kind of we were made to think that. And I think that kind of goes into like the religion conversation that we were going to have that we didn't really fully have. But it's like, you're being told how to worship. Here are the instructions. This is the operational plan. You can't go directly to spirit. You need to go through this. These are the people that are sanctioned. These are the people that know you know nothing. And so it's like, it's no wonder why we're all feeling a little lost right now, because
Mm-hmm.
to come into self and self-discovery and connection with our own essence. We are part of that larger picture, and when we talk about all being one, we're not homogeneously one, we're diversely one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at the time and I want to keep
Yeah.
us on track. We'll have to come back to that conversation maybe for next month.
Yeah.
Because it's a good topic that we had. Then we got into this whole thing because we haven't seen each other in a couple of weeks because of shingles and, I was ill and all the things. So yes, we'll have to come back to that one. I just wanted to ask, what have you got going on right now?
Oh, I got going a bunch of stuff. So my friend Claire Singster, who she has a section on Cosmic Dreaming Lodge Substack. She is writing a section called The Magical Path, and we're teaming up, and we recorded our first episode for the Reimagined podcast, which is going to launch on the 23rd. That's going to be really interesting. You're welcome. Thank you for showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Here. And then also we're together doing a retreat in Cornwall, England next May, on the art of facilitated healing. So we're all about like helping therapists not do the work for their patients, but to learn the art of facilitating healing in their patients. Because honestly, and what we were talking about too, Claire's like, yeah, it's the expert in the room when you're treating somebody is the person who's on the table. It's not the therapist.
Yeah. Such a good point, right? It's like our medical system.
Yeah.
And especially as women, going to the doctor and saying something's wrong. Well, no, how would you know? You're not it's like, I live here.
Occupy this space. This is
I do.
every day. Yeah. And the last thing that I'm doing, I just launched a Dreaming Orchard, which is a Substack publication that I am writing the story of all of the guides you see behind me. So I'm posting those as I write. That's why I started it. It keeps me on track. But then within that, there's going to be some little initiatory exercises that people can do. There's going to be some channel messages, like there's a chat thread that goes with it. So I drop channeled wisdom and stuff from the guides. And so it just gets to be
get that email, because I feel like I would have joined that one. I'll have to see.
You have to look for it.
Yeah, I have to look for it. I have to read my emails. That's a whole
yeah, that's the first open the inbox.
I do open it and then I go and I close it again.
Yeah, but you can check it out on Substack. It's hard for me to say sometimes. Just look up the Cosmic Dreaming Lodge or at Deborah Epstein.
Yeah, because your regular one I'm on, but I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yes. So those are the exciting things you have on. Yeah. What's going on? Well, just as we were talking today, I was thinking, Empowered Living is our program that we have. We have a daily program called Empowered Living, and it's 5 morning practices, 5, 6. Anyways, there's 13 practices altogether. And we do 5 every morning, weekday morning, and meditation, journaling, gratitude, daily intentions, calendar planning. Oh, and visualization, 6. We do in the morning. And as you were talking, I'm like, if you don't know how to sort of like get into a rhythm of doing the things, right? The things to check in and be connected with yourself, it's a really good place to start. So I'm just going to put that out there. We do have Empowered Living. But exciting new things coming up in September. We're starting our new Empowered Entrepreneur Essentials. Empowered Entrepreneur. Yeah, I don't know why I do this to myself, where I name things I can't say, but it's the thing I do. So Empowered Entrepreneur Essentials. And it's a micro audio summit and bundle. So we get speakers in and they talk about one specific topic, 4 to 5 speakers per month, one specific topic. And then there's also, other good freebies and stuff that go with it. So
that sounds really exciting and very innovative too. It sounds really interesting.
I wanted something that was like helpful right now, like not something where you're going to gather all the things and then be overwhelmed with all the things. It's like, this is the one thing. Do you need help with that one thing? Well, this month, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And if you don't need help, don't worry about this month. You can get it another time. It'll still be available. But this month, it's the one thing. Right. And so that's sort of what the plan was.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here and being engaged in our conversation. I love that.
I love the questions. I love the engagement. I mean, gosh, it makes the experience like so much juicier.
Yeah. Loved it a lot.
Appreciate you all.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Zoe. So thank you to everyone for being here. And we will be back next month. Summer, we're kind of like not on the same schedule, but we'll be around each month.
I'll let you know.
Send emails. All right. Bye for now.
Bye.